Hello! In this video, we're going to learn about comparative adjectives. We often use comparative adjectives to talk about the differences between things. First, we'll talk about what an adjective is, and then we'll move on to talking about comparative adjectives and their form. First, let's define adjective. An adjective is a word that describes a noun. And a noun is a person, place, or thing. For example, if we want to describe this apple, we could say that it is a big apple, a green apple, or a beautiful apple. We could also put all this together and say it's a big, green, beautiful apple. We can see that words like big, green, and beautiful are all adjectives because they describe a thing. Later in this course, we'll talk about how to use more than one adjective at the same time. So, those are adjectives. Now let's say I have two big apples and I want to give you one of them. If I just say, take the big apple, you don't know which apple I'm talking about. We need a way to talk about the differences between these apples. Comparative adjectives can solve this problem because they describe the differences between things. To make a comparative adjective, we take the adjective, in our case that's big, and add the letters ER to the end. Let's see what that looks like. Notice the spelling changed. Instead of B-I-G-E-R, we have B-I-G-G-E-R. This kind of spelling change is common when we make comparative adjectives, so pay close attention to our examples in this video and the examples you see when you read in English. Let's use our new comparative adjectives in a sentence. I can say, take the bigger apple, and you now know which one to take. We've now talked about the form of a comparative adjective, adding the letters ER to an adjective and maybe changing the spelling, but there's more to learn about how to use them. Here are two happy people, Pat and Sam. To describe how they're different, let's take that adjective, happy, and make a comparative adjective by adding the letters ER. Notice how the spelling changed. H-A-P-P-I-E-R, not H-A-P-P-Y-E-R. Now we can say, Pat is a happier person, or just, Pat is happier. We can include the other noun in the sentence, that's Sam, if we add the word than right in front of it. Pat is happier than Sam. To return to our apples, I can say, your apple is bigger than mine. There's one more rule to discuss. What to do with adjectives that have more than two syllables. A syllable is one part of a spoken word. They can be easier to hear if we clap while we say the word. For example, big has one syllable. Happy has two syllables. Beautiful and expensive have three syllables, so they follow a special rule when we make comparative adjectives from them. We add the word more or less in front of adjectives with more than two syllables, and we don't add ER to the end. So we can say, your watch is more expensive than mine, or my watch is less expensive than yours, but we don't say expensiver or beautifuler. Before we finish, let's look at some special adjectives, good and bad. They have special comparative forms that don't follow the normal rule. You might expect them to become gooder and badder, but the comparative forms are actually better and worse. To summarize, comparative adjectives describe the differences between nouns, and they're formed by adding the letters ER to the end of an adjective. Remember, you may need to change the spelling. Adjectives with more than two syllables don't get the letters ER added to the end. Instead, include the word more or less before the adjective. Finally, add the word than if you're going to talk about both nouns in the same sentence. Next, you'll play a game to practice using comparative adjectives.